Hello, Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Summer Tech 2022 PDHP PAR mini chat. I'm Carrie Ann Fitzgerald. I'm the Parent Community Outreach Coordinator with the Program for the Development of Human Potential. We are an agency. Many of you are familiar with us. We have been working through the diocese for about 50 years. So we're in the Brooklyn Diocese. We work with the schools and the academies, from our very little learners all the way up to our 12th graders. We also get the opportunity, especially myself in the role that I play, to work with the families and the communities in the diocese. So we have information awareness workshops for parents, evidence-based programming, curriculums for parents. We have faculty workshops and consults with our school admin. We also have family therapy units in Brooklyn and Queens that are available at a very reasonable cost and very open as a resource. So it's something I always want to ask people to keep in mind these days and ages. It's a great resource to know. You don't have to necessarily be registered in a Catholic school or as a parishioner. Most of our work in PDHP is done through our school counselors, our guidance counselors, our prevention education specialists, who are assigned to our schools. They are a very talented team of school social workers, school psychologists, guidance counselors, prevention education specialists, licensed mental health therapists, licensed art therapists. So we are very fortunate to have a very creative and caring team. We are funded by the New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports. They have been funding us for as long as we've been in existence. So that leads us to become what we know as a prevention agency. So that's prevention education. And when we talk about that, I think a lot of parents start to say, oh, wow, that's a heavy topic. But it is a topic that will probably visit as parents and caregivers in our children's lives. Prevention education, I just want to give you a familiarity with that, is that it is acting proactively. It is acting preventively. It is building positive behaviors, protective factors in our youth, our homes, our communities, our schools, to establish that these behaviors are ones that our children will grow up to live up to throughout their lives. So when we think of prevention, you could think about even just the idea of how every year you probably have your wellness visits with your doctors, with your dentists. That's acting preventively. For our kids in our classroom, sometimes the curriculum will look like, talking about character building, self-esteem, managing stress. As they get older, of course, we talk about risk with peer pressure. We talk about the media's influence, whether it's consumerism or it's social media. And our kids really at, ages that are defined at risk are given a lot of information so that they can make the healthiest decisions when they are faced with difficult decisions around substance misuse. Okay. So, of course, if there are any questions regarding PDHP, you're always welcome to chat it out with us further. We do have Parent Outreach PDHP Parents on Facebook. You can search us out on the internet for our webpage. You can contact your admins at your school or your guidance counselors who are, affiliated with PDHP to find out more information at any time. Today, we wanted to talk a little bit about summer and technology, as we have seen a lot of trends coming up and coming out of our COVID crisis. And as the school year comes to its end, we'd like to offer some support and some resources. The idea is that it may be a good time to reevaluate the role of technology in our family's life. It's especially important now as we're coming into the summer months, where Time is a little bit more open for our children. And, while we do like that open time, we do want to make sure that we're managing it appropriately for them, because we have seen such upticks in some negative behaviors and habits around social media and devices. So we're suggesting that maybe we make some plans in our households and amongst all the caregivers who are part of our children's lives. We could bring our families in together to sit down and discuss what this would look like, because we are probably going to be making some shifts and reevaluations. And that's difficult. It's difficult for transition. It's difficult for new things to happen. But by doing this, we're modeling for the children in our lives decision-making skills. We're showing that we are taking leadership. We're sharing with them that perhaps, what we once knew about technology has changed, and we maybe need to reevaluate and reassess. And that's okay at different parts of our life to do that in different stages with different things. And we're also indicating to our children who are sitting with us that their input matters, and they matter greatly as well. Often sitting down like this as a family can create a little more buy-in from everyone because they feel their voice has been heard in a topic. And here are some ideas that will start us up on figuring out what to do, because I know it can be really overwhelming. So let's take a look. So of course, I gave you a little bit of that introduction on what's going on, some of the trends that we see. We see such more of a reliance. Probably if we sat and thought about it, even our own habits as adults, there's so much more of a reliance on tech than probably before. So really, considering that for ourselves, maybe some of the things we bring up as parents, you may start to say, you know what, I'm going to do that too. And how much of a better role model can you be in saying, hey, I'm in this with you as well. So let's take a look. The first thing I'm going to suggest is the idea of structure. So when we think about structure, we can think about it in these different terms: limiting, the location, the curfew, check-ins and setups. So considering time limits for screen use can be very important. It's extremely easy with the way the content is set up on our devices within apps and different sites to get caught up and to very easily lose track of time and perhaps even content that is appropriate. So just consider that idea of YouTube, right? You're watching a video and it just keeps queuing and queuing and queuing. So sometimes there are things that are inappropriate that can get placed in that queue. When we were younger, we'd have these natural stopping points with commercial breaks and things of that nature, and would allow our brain to disengage and then perhaps re-engage. In this case, with watching video after video after video without that natural break, our brain does not get to process that way. So considering creating these time limits. Maybe it's certain times that it's allowable. Maybe it's a certain amount of time that's allowable. Recently, I saw one of our resources put out the idea of using a basic kitchen timer to help keep track of time. Maybe it's even, chores, number of chores and behaviors and habits that need to be done first before the privilege of having this, tech time is allowed. One thing that's really big is the idea of location. Maybe confining the use of devices to more public areas of our homes, particularly keeping them out of bedrooms and bathrooms. There is this concept of having privacy. However, when anything and even accidentally goes out on the internet in these spaces, that privacy becomes mishandled, okay, and can become viral. Accidents do happen. Deliberate things do happen in the confines of what we believe is private. So consider that. Consider taking that temptation sort of out. The other idea too is restfulness. having that privacy and that quietude in a bedroom to sleep. This can sometimes, tech devices can sometimes skew that for people. So consider that. Curfew. Maybe setting up a digital curfew. And of course, this can be age appropriate throughout, your family when it comes to the age groups of different children. And that could be something that could be, led up to. It could be a privilege that can come into our fruition as our kids get older. So just that idea of an age appropriate digital curfew. What time do you want to have your children switch off and have, restful activities? Even for us. This is also a good one to maybe have conversations with the peer parents in your lives, your kids' friends, parents, of what time would be allowable and come up with something that would work. The idea of check-ins. As I said, it's very easy to get caught up in the content and lose time. Also, sometimes that content itself can be really intense to process. So just that idea of checking in during those screen times, even if it's limited, checking in during those screen times and asking our kids, what is it that you're looking at? Asking about the apps that they prefer to be on, asking them to show you the games that they play, the shows that they watch, because it is important for us to make sure that this doesn't become just this isolated event for your child and whatever content is being shown to them. This way they have that breakout, they're able to check in with you, they know that they're not alone in this. And also that idea of setup. Setting up devices safely and appropriately when it comes to security and age-appropriate use. So maybe this is perhaps disabling certain searches like Safari, putting something that's age-appropriate maybe for certain times. That could be part of it. Set up even talking about security, talking about keeping passwords secure, because it does become a trend between child to child in friendships to share a password. And that's something that we want to discourage. Those passwords should be secure with parent and child. So those were a couple of ideas on structure. So even just selecting one of these and talking it out with your family. So different resources are out here to help us. More and more they're available. When we started this piece, it's been about 7 years, there wasn't much resource. So I do want to share with you some of the resources that I go to regularly, whether it's work or whether it's even in my home life as a parent myself. This can definitely be a very daunting task. There's so much out there, hundreds of apps come out on the market almost daily. So, trying to gauge what's trending or what is age appropriate, what to seek out, what to stay away from can be very difficult. So at this point, I do suggest a couple of resources. There are a lot more, but the ones that I like the best and I find them to be really user-friendly would be Common Sense Media, Cool Mom Tech, and Smart Social. And of course, these are just research pieces that we use. We are not getting any kind of funding from these pieces, but they are just ones that we have found to be helpful. So let's take a look. So Common Sense Media. As you see, you can look through it. There's a lot of information, a lot of different pull down menus for you. You can filter by age. You can filter by the type of entertainment. It's really helpful, for example, on a movie night, when you're trying to figure out what to watch with your kids, what would be appropriate. So just looking through, parents need to know. So I pulled up TV reviews. They give you the idea of what's age appropriate. They give you a rating, and then you can go in to see the full review. In the full review, they give you a couple of more things. They give you a little synopsis, of course. They give you maybe what to look out for in different categories like consumerism and substance misuse and sexuality, perhaps, and inappropriate language. So things to be aware of. They also will bring out different talking points for parents if you do choose to go ahead with a piece and use it educatively. with your kids, which is always the hope, and have some support about different themes that you're trying to maybe introduce. So there is a conversation box for the family to have. It becomes very thoughtful, not just the bonding of family movie night, but that thoughtful piece is really great. The other thing that they do is they give a play-by-play. So you can look at reviews from a parent's perspective, and then you can look at reviews from a child's perspective on what they feel is appropriate or inappropriate. So it really is helpful to have this quick go-to to gauge on. So much media out there, right? So definitely keep that in mind for a number of different media that you may be looking into over the summer, or anytime really. And Cool Moms Tech, okay, or Cool Mom Tech. I have really enjoyed this. There is a website with blog style entries. And this caught my eye this time, the cell phone etiquette for kids, 10 things that they need to know. Because remember, this is a communication tool. So this article is a great article to take a look at when you're talking to kids about how to manage some of the content and communication that's going on their devices. But take a look at the top line here. There's so much available for our kids, right? Online safety, of course, favorite apps. Sometimes it's from a parent perspective as well. So what are your favorite apps that you would use maybe to manage your household or maybe for your own little downtime? And that idea of health and wellness as well, I love. But in this particular resource, I was able to find how to create my device for my child to be the most appropriate, age appropriate, and safe device possible by changing around some of the manufactured apps that were on the actual device. So again, a really great resource to take a look at. And Smart Social, definitely one of my big go-tos. You can buy in and do some like webinars that they offer on what's trending. So that's really a nice feature. You can, have a membership with them. But I will say that just the free resource that it allows is terrific. As you can see, parents, you can pull down and pick from a wide variety of topics. My huge go-tos are probably the top 100 plus teen app list. It is so concise. It gives you those really popular ones. And it gives you different color charts. So you'll have red, meaning, this is really a hands-off kind of piece. You'll have green, which is, when it is supervised properly. It can be a great experience for your kids and for your family to utilize. If it's gray, then it's this proceed by caution. And it's just a quick snippet that they give you so that you can get a quick sense of what's going on those apps. Of course, you could delve further into it, but I know that parenting on the go, we're always on the go. So it's a really nice, quick go-to to have. I also love the teen slang emojis and hashtags just to be aware of what is being said on your kids' devices when you see the acronyms and when you see the emojis. Just being aware that they may have a little bit of a hidden message, okay? And of course, parental control software. So many different ways to utilize different parental controls. Of course, having conversations with our kids around that, but to just help us to manage this digital lifestyle our kids are growing up in. And of course, there's alternatives, never underestimate your influence in your kids' lives, and I'm not suggesting that, it's going out and having that big Disney moment and, blowing the budget and having these huge moments. The little things are what often our kids remember, recall, have feelings about, will think about. So it's really important. So, just reflecting and planning meaningful screen-free moments you can utilize to re-engage the time that you're spending with your children outside of technology. With the weather being warmer, hopefully it's more opportunity to get outside. So thinking about games, whether they're board games that you're playing inside or outdoor games that you're playing together, family art projects, perhaps, planting, time out in nature. Any kind of time out in nature can be really useful. Just taking a walk together, reading together, or any family time that would allow you all to enjoy your own reading can be very helpful. Activities like Legos, building activities, very helpful. You could think about the Minecraft generation. If your kids like Minecraft, maybe bringing it into real life with a little Lego family night. Cooking together, grilling, making a fruit salad together, teaching those skills and enjoying it can be really meaningful. And finally, whatever family project or goal you may come up with together and define and utilize and work out. I remember some colleagues once talked about a family passion project, so, what's the goal? What can we work towards? What's something that we all enjoy? So doing that, even if it's saying, okay, once a week, we're going to go and, go to the local playground or go to the beach or whatever it is. The thing is, evaluating with your kids, asking how they liked it, asking what they didn't like, asking what they'd like to do next time, giving them that voice. A lot of these may seem so simple and unassuming to us. But remember, for our kids, it's time that they're spending with their loved ones. And that becomes bonding. Years from now, it will become a cherished memory that you're giving your children. It will be ingrained in their senses. And again, it's something that, social media, TikTok, and all of its friends can never give our kids that kind of experience. Only you can, as loving family. So again, a lot of great resources, a lot of ways to, bring in some reevaluation and some, streamlining of tech in your family's life this summer. I will say to you, raising children is challenging. And in these times, it's even more so challenging. And I remind you that we're one of the first few generations to parent along this landscape of digital life. So never underestimate, though, how powerful that you are in defining your children's experience. I wish you and yours a very happy and healthy summer. And I look forward to seeing you all again in September. Take care.